Let's hear the Spoelstra comment, because this was also one that's been garnering a lot of interest around the social scene. The question was by Ramona Shelburne of ESPN, and here was her question and Spoelstra's answer. Here it is.
Final question on the left.
Hey, Coach. Ramona Shelburne, ESPN. This is probably oversimplifying things, but sometimes when teams play against Jokic, you turn him into a scorer, you turn him into a passer, and he controls the game. He only had 4 assists tonight.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. It's just, that's the untrained eye that says something like that. This guy's an incredible player. Twice in 2 seasons, he's been the best player on this planet. You can't just say, oh, make him a scorer. That's not how they play. They have so many different actions that just get you compromised. We have to focus on what we do. We try to do things the hard way, and he requires you to do many things the hard way. He has our full respect. Okay, thank you.
And that, to me, that last sentence by Spoelstra, to me, is what he was trying to get at. I think he shirked at the notion that, well, they just want to turn him into a scorer, because I felt like he's feeling like that really diminishes the impact of a Jokic and what he brings to the game. I mean, the guy still dropped 41 and 10 on my team. You know what I'm saying? Like, let's not act like it didn't mean anything, because that fourth quarter, that 18-point fourth quarter where he was just slicing and dicing them, look no further than that. And at the end of the day, if the Nuggets clean up their act defensively in the fourth quarter, we're not even talking about this. We're talking about, we're going back to that third quarter as a big reason why the Nuggets won that game. So it's just so funny. I hear, I had a great chance to work with Antonio Daniels on Sirius XM NBA radio, and he says that all the time. It's just funny how the narrative changes from game to game based on certain things. And so I just think Spoelstra, he was trying not to disrespect Jokic and the Nuggets. But at the same time, if we pull it back and take a look at this is Jokic's third over 40-point game in the playoffs, their third loss in which he scores over 40 points in the playoffs. And if you look at how the game was going last night, I just felt like, and Al, we talked about this. It's a fine balance with the stars in terms of whether it's Butler or Jokic to trust their teammates and to be the aggressors themselves and put it on themselves to get the buckets. To me, I saw a Denver team that wasn't moving around. They weren't aggressive offensively. They weren't cutting. And Jokic, they weren't doubling Jokic as much. And so, to me, he took what the defense was giving him, saw that my guys don't have it tonight. We got to put the ball in the hole, and he did what he had to do.
Spoelstra's crafty. Listen, there's an NBA requirement that everybody has to talk to the media, but there's not a requirement that you have to divulge your strategy. That's what Spoelstra knows. So, and this is why these two coaches are two of the best in the game, because when they go to the media, they know what to say and what not to say. I bet you, like I said, when Kyle Lowry talked at the end of the last game in the interviews, not the pressers, but immediately after the game to NBA TV, because it's like, yeah, you got to talk to the media, it's required, but to divulge the strategy, that ain't never going to happen now, Spoelstra.
For sure, and to even add on to that, Chuck, it's that I think he's upset that it's oversimplified, that answer, right?
Yeah,
Where it's like, oh, well, if you just stop Jokic from passing in general, you're going to win. It's not that easy. It's the fact that Miami made it difficult for the role players to cut, to get open looks, which translates from Jokic passing the ball. So it's not necessarily, oh, you just stop Jokic in general, it's not going to be success. Yeah, Jokic didn't pass, and he had to be the primary guy. But the reason he couldn't pass is because the CP noted, well, these guys weren't being aggressive. And when you look at Miami's defense, they're fighting over everything. They're fighting over the screens. They're in front of you. They're covering the three-point line. They're not giving you an inch of space. So, yeah, Jokic can't pass to those guys. So if you want to make it simple saying, well, if Jokic doesn't pass, sure, but it just sounds too simplistic for saying, hey, well, Miami's going to force Jokic not to be the facilitator because they're going to stop and stay home with the role players rather than just collapse on Jokic and then make it easy for him to be like, oh, double team, easy, KCP at the top of the key. We're
Right.
not going to see that because that's what Miami wants to do. So I think Spoelstra's just angry where it's like, stop making it so simple, where it's like, next thing you know, you're going to get this 500-word article. Stop Jokic from passing the ball. Everyone wins. Miami.
I know this for sure. CP called this earlier in the Nick Heat series. It's like, this is not the team to throw cross-court passes or passing time inside the lane. Miami is not the team to just throw passes through their defense. It's you will get those passes deflected, picked off more often than not. So, Joker's going to try to throw the right pass, but he can't throw the right pass if you don't see nothing.
Right. Exactly. That's exactly it. So, and that was just interesting. And the funny thing is that we heard from prominent coaches in regards to this game about making Jokic a passer. Jeff Van Gundy, within the first 5 minutes of the game, said Jokic has got to establish himself as a scorer. He's got to establish himself as a scorer because his guys don't have it. And then here was Steve Kerr last night, courtesy of the Draymond Green show. The Steve Kerr and Draymond Green reacted to the game. And this is what Kerr had to say in terms of Miami's adjustments between game 1 and game 2. This courtesy of the Draymond Green show. Here you go.
So they're a great team, but I do think what Miami did tonight, they said, all right, we're going to make Jokic a scorer. Let's take away other people. And then the big one I thought was, you mentioned them starting Love. That allowed Jimmy Butler to guard Murray. Mm-hmm. So they're a great.
So that was Steve Kerr, the multiple-time champion, saying, hey, turn him into a scorer. But I think the bottom line is it's not cut and dry. It's not as simple as that. However, there are benefits to doing so. If you're taking Jamal Murray out of the game by putting Jimmy Butler on him, by blitzing him on the pick and roll, making him uncomfortable and diminishing his offense, then I think that has a trickle-down effect. And so if you're not able to get your guys who are cutting, if you're not able to get good motion and good flow in your offense, it makes them easier to guard. So Miami certainly had the leg up there.
And let me tell you this much, man. Jimmy Butler, whose ego is riding high with him being whatever he wants to be on that particular day, it's almost like, and I'm making a slight comparison to MJ. Did we fear, as Knicks, MJ on the offense? We feared him as much on the defensive because MJ just had this thing in him like, I will stop you. You are not going to get past me, or you're not going to get past Pip or Rodman or whoever. You're not going to get past me. Jimmy Butler took it on. It says, I'm going to stop. I'm a mano Murray.
Yeah.
I'm not going to let this kid beat me. And that's where that concentration was as the rest of the others did their thing with a little bit of Jimmy on the O.
True indeed, man. Look, you're not going to stop Jokic. You can barely even slow him down. But if you can limit what the other guys are doing, limit their effectiveness, I thought that was a good strategy by the Heat. We'll see how the Nuggets adjust there. But once again, the Miami Heat, offensively, defensively, this was the game that they needed to play to win. They outscored the Nuggets by 28 points from 3. That's the type of game that you're going to need if, Jimmy Butler, 21 points. He had a great game, outstanding game. 21 points, 9 assists. You got 21 from Bam. You got mixed contributions throughout the team. So they needed to play that almost a perfect game. They were able to force a ton of turnovers, uncharacteristic of the Nuggets. Nuggets, 14 turnovers, which led to 19 Miami points. And so I thought that he just did a good job of just winning individual statistical categories to help them win this game. And free throws, big difference at the free throw line. Just 2 attempts in game 1. I never even seen that in my life. Then they bounced back with 20 in game 2. Look, a lot of people weren't happy with the Zebras last night. I thought they were pretty terrible, but I don't.
There's a lot of questionable calls.
There was a lot of questionable calls, but
Can I bring up a small bait and switch? At least if I wanted to pick at Spo, his gambling brain at one particular time. You remember this play towards the end? I think it was the 6-minute mark where Joker's in a block and Gabe Vincent's on him. and he's basically on his back. And I've never seen a play where the player basically booty pushed, Vincent right damn near out of bounds, man, on the. And I think that was Spoelstra saying, okay, the most he's going to get out of this is 2. We might even get another foul on Joker. Well, let's try this for a few seconds. That's to the detail I think that Spoelstra and the Heat's mind is at when sometimes the other team might go to sleep for a second. Those small increments of second awake versus sleep mean a lot in the income and the outcome, I should say.
Absolutely. I mean, let's just go back to what Kerr said, right? And he said, why I mentioned it's like you stay home on your players. Look, KCP, like he's been shooting 40% this playoff from 3. Do you want him to go fire from downtown because he opens up everything else for Murray, for Jokic? So he went 1 for 3 last night, 1 for 4 from the field in total. It's just, I think this whole thing on just like sticking with like the Joker on just like how you stop him from passing. He only won by 3 points. Let's not make this thing like it's greater than it is.
Right.
So,
right.
It's crazy that we're gonna run with 3 points. It's not like if it was like 10, 15 points, then it's like, oh well, this is different.
Right. It's not like they're losing I mean, they had a 15-point lead at one point in this game. They had an 8-point lead going into the fourth quarter. If they just tighten up defensively, we're not even talking about this. So again, just very, very interesting, man. Let's.
They also went down by double digits in the fourth too. And so the swings in these games are like this and that.
Yeah.
So as much as somebody got a superiority on somebody else, you slip and sleep for a 2 minutes stretch. Truly.
Oh, easily.
It's a wrap, man.